Well, it looks like being a pretty important summer in this head coach save because Bournemouth are our destination at the moment, but there are a few job interviews on the table. We've not had a chance at our dream job yet, but there's others on the horizon that would be a big step up. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 70 of the head coach with me, Daniel. We are back today on the 19th of June, around 1 month after that Europa League final defeat. And while we've done a great job with Bournemouth and we have picked up our first trophies at a save, we are now looking to move on to the next level in the form of a super club or a club playing regularly in the top European competitions. So if you're looking forward to seeing where we've got interviews and what jobs are available, and please do put a thumbs up on the video. I'm not going to bore you to death by attending all the interviews, you'll be pleased to know. But the aim of today is to show you all the clubs we get interest from, see who we get job offers from, and then potentially make our decision and meet all the players and staff at a new club. So let's get cracking by having a look at the two inbox items because we have got two job interviews and they are from differing nations, but both bigger clubs than the one we're at now because we have got interviews for Chelsea, who, this is a bit of an interesting one. They're not in Europe at the moment. They're still struggling in the Todd Bowley era, but we go and have a look at their history. They've had a couple of interesting seasons. The highest they've finished since the save started was second, but that was a one-off season. And other than that, they've not been above fourth at any point. They finished 12th and 8th in the last 2 years. And despite having a massive reputation and a good squad with key players of this level at 22, they don't look like they're going to the next level yet. So it could be a really interesting one in terms of trying to rebuild a squad that's in a bit of a mess. For context, here's their top goal scorer, who again is probably better than any of the strikers we've got at Bournemouth. And they have finished higher in the division than we did last time. But the other job interview is from Marseille. It's a really interesting one. And I wonder if we're going to get a similar problem to that we had when leaving Japan, where we had the realistic job offer versus the job offer of one that would be interesting to take on. And we are going to stick with the realism in this save because this is what we promised. And there are a couple of other massive jobs I've applied for, but I'm probably going to have to adjust my rules for any future editions of the head coach because I want to have a different type of career path there. And obviously we will be doing the alternative run from Willem onwards in the future. So Marseille and Chelsea are the two current job interviews. We've also applied for a job at Juventus, who finished third in Serie A, just behind AC Milan. So we've got the balance of Marseille in the Europa League, I think. Juve are in the Champions League. Chelsea aren't in Europe. But Chelsea would allow us to be, well, basically living at home, earning probably the biggest money of the three, and having probably the biggest budgets of the three and the biggest opportunities, albeit the biggest risk of the sack as well. So we're going to attend both of these interviews. We're going to see how things progress. And then, of course, we'll find out if we get any more interviews and whether or not we get a job offer. We'll be back as the news floods in. Well, 10 days later, we return and we do have our first job offer, which of course we are going to try and delay for a week in case we get others because we've applied for the Juve job and still not heard back. We've got nothing back from one of the others, but I've got to quickly mention that the Bournemouth director of football, Mike Phelan, is trying his best again. No signings in just yet, but the two he's going for, in fact, there's three because he's going for a youngster from Inter who's rubbish. But the two first teamers he's gone for, a 20-year-old centre-half from Fluminense, who is a wonder kid and is absolutely brilliant. And he's also gone for a 21-year-old from Benfica, Alex Mendes, who is a remarkable midfielder to replace what is the problem area of the team. So I'll tell you what, Mike Phelan has been probably our best director of football since Hiroki Izumi at Gifu. The other clubs in Japan let us down a little, but this has been remarkable. Given the budget restraints, given the problems he's had, he's done a really good job. He did, though, accept some offers for Karnazeki, who rejected the moves away to both West Ham and Sheffield United for 45 odd million quid. For now, though, let's go through to the inbox because our first job offer is Olympique Marseille. 42.5 grand a week is, for perspective, a tiny bit less than we're earning now. But it does give us a good wage budget, a good director of football who we've seen and talked about in the interview, and a transfer budget that's not going to do a lot. But we know French football's a bit more focused on young players. They want to qualify for the Europa League next year and keep doing so for the seasons afterwards. They finished fourth in Ligue 1 last season. We look at their previous history, fourth, fifth, second, third. They're a team that have been up the top most of the time. They've got a 4-star reputation like Bournemouth. They've got the Champions League football this season, in fact, so I take that back. And their key player is an Austrian who, at 27, is good. He's marked as elite. To be fair, he's my type of centre-half. Physically excellent, very good mentally. Positioning's his best attribute. Great in the air, not the best technically, but we could work around that. Now look at the rest of the players. The hot prospect is not really a hot prospect at all. Although at 15, that's harsh. He's a decent player. The vice-captain and captain are more experienced players, but perhaps not the level we were quite expecting. Maybe not better than the Bournemouth ones, if I'm being honest. But you look at the best players there, they've got one hefty wage bill, haven't they? Most of their squad's in its peak, around 30, 31. So maybe actually looking at the next couple of years, it might be a good short-term job. There are elite players in this squad. But we are going to delay it 1 week because, I'm not going to lie to you, I would rather have either the Chelsea or the Juve job. They're 4.5-star reputation teams. They're a more clear step up. I'll be very happy to move to Marseille if nothing else materialises. Let me show you the job centre as well, just so you can see what else is going on. We've applied for Chelsea, we've applied for Juve. There are a few other jobs there that are of interest, the likes of Real Sociedad, who we played in the Europa League. Rangers are up there at the top of Scottish football. I'm not sure there's much that's really pulling us in at the moment. And the only other insecure job at present is still that big one at AC Milan, which I would love. But for now, we're going to delay this job. We're going to skip forward a week. We're going to see if anything else comes up. And if not, it will be Olympique Marseille as our next club. Well, we are 3 days in to our 7-day delay, and this is throwing up a dilemma for me. We've gotten a job interview with Juventus, which of the three is probably my preferred at the moment. They've got Champions League football. They finished third last season. They won the league and finished third back-to-back. They're a massive club. Look at their star striker, who is a bit of a gem. Their best youngster is not great, I'll be honest with you, but they've still got Locatelli and Vlahovic. Have they got an old squad? Oh, it's a bit of a mix, isn't it? They've got a few 33 and 34-year-olds on 1-year deals. And then they've got this real bunch of youngsters. They've not got that many in their peak. Fabio Moretti about the only other one. Most of the younger players are probably a bit average. Maybe this squad's not as good as it looks, to be fair. We're not going to beat what AC Milan offer, which is going to be a worry. But there are some young gems here who are very special. If we have a look back at Bournemouth, one of those wonder kids have rejected us now. So Roberto, the defender, has refused to come in, which does mean it's probably going to be curtains for them regardless. So we'll go for this job interview just in case, because we want to try and get away at a bigger club than Marseille. No disrespect to them. But if we end up there, I'm going to be very happy still. Let's get through this job interview. We'll be back on the 6th or beforehand if we've got any news from Juve. Well, the week has passed and I think our decision has been made for us, because although Bournemouth did get in Mendes, the wonder kid, they have now potentially lost Facundo Fernandes. They've accepted an offer for him and another one for Karnazeki, the goalkeeper. And while we've not heard back from Juventus yet, we've not heard back from Chelsea at all. And if we have a look, we're not actually the favourite for either of those. We have been offered yet again after the break the Marseille job. Quick note say I did apply for Villarreal last week. They turned us away almost immediately. So it looks like we're off to France, and Olympique Marseille is a job that I'm really looking forward to. I think I've managed once in France in the head coach. Might have been Lyon. I'm not sure if I'm making that up or not. Come back and tell me. You'll know your history better than me. It's not a great transfer budget, but it's a big wage budget. It's a club that's in the big European competitions, which Chelsea didn't offer. And on the face of it, it's a squad that's competitive with Juve, despite them being a bigger club. We can get the wage up to 45 grand a week. We're losing nothing. We're probably actually better off given the tax circumstances. And if we have a look at the club vision items, it's what we'd expect from a bigger club. Not too much pressure. Qualify for the Europa League is all we've got to do. But we should be bringing through good young players. We love to make the most of set pieces. And they've actually got a good director of football too. So we're going to start the negotiations up to 45 grand a week. Should we try for 46 just so we can say we've taken a pay rise? Let's suggest the terms. It's a 3-year deal as well. And they're happy with it. We probably could have pushed that a bit further. We have got a pay rise. We're off to France. And we're going to sunny Marseille. Let's go and finalise this deal. and get our next move done in a head coach. Let's go and meet the Marseille squad and the staff we're going to be working with. Well, here we are, off to France to work for Marseille, and it is a move that is going to spark plenty of heated debate. After winning an FA Cup and a League Cup with Bournemouth over 2 years, after managing in the Europa League final last season, and after a double promotion with Gifu all the way back in Japan, and of course we played in an Asian Champions League final there. Apparently we've beaten Roberto De Zerbi to the job. That's pretty impressive. He was spotted attending an interview, so there you go. We've definitely pipped him to it. We've got pressure to bring success to Marseille, but let's see how we get on. They're expected to finish 5th, the fierce rivals of PSG. Not too much pressure there. Last season it says 11th in Ligue 1, but they definitely finished higher, didn't they? Because it said they've got Champions League football. Or, do you know what? Have I gone too early on the reset for their season? Please don't say I have. We'll have a look at the moment. No, look, it says UEFA Champions League enters at the league table. Are they just 11th at the minute? I don't know. They didn't beat us in the Europa League because that was Lazio. I have no idea. They've got great training and youth facilities. They've got a magnificent stadium. Bit different from Bournemouth, which didn't even sell out. A great history, an illustrious one with plenty of trophies. And of course, a club with a director of football and assistant manager in place. Let's have a quick look at them. Director of football, Braulio Vasquez. Very good at what he does. Not world class, but then the attributes haven't meant much this year. Izumi was brilliant. 2 with better attributes were poor in Japan. And then Mike Phelan's been unbelievable with pretty similar attributes to that. Assistant manager Patry is the worst coach you will ever see. But he's actually a very good person manager and a great judge of character and not bad tactically, which is probably what we need. There's a very Spanish vibe to this Marseille backroom team, isn't there? We look at the players. Are there any other familiar names? Not too many. Vitinha up front, perhaps one. So let's get through and have a look at our first day at the job. You all know what we've got to achieve here. Latter stages of the Cup, competitive in a Champions League and qualified for the Europa League. I'll be disappointed if I don't do that in truth. The fans want to finish above Lyon, Nice and Montpellier, and they want us to be competitive against PSG. So they're not expecting us to win that. They also want to make the most of set pieces, but play attacking and high-tempo football. We might have to change style from what we were doing at Bournemouth and go a bit more back to the Kashima style, shall we say. Staff leave Bournemouth as well. We'll wait and see if the director of football brings any of them with us. Let's have a look at the introductions though. There's the Bournemouth time reel. We've won the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. We've won the J2 and the J3 League in Japan. I'm surprised that milestone doesn't mention Asian Champions Cup or a Europa League final. I should really mention the losses there. We're doing really well though. The supporter profile is going to be massive here. 50,000 season ticket holders. The season ticket waiting list is huge. I mean, we couldn't even get 20,000 in at Bournemouth most of the time. Season expectations, we're going to stick with exactly that. Not going to promise to make it through in the Champions League, that's for sure. We'll ignore the social feed, but we will come away from Bournemouth and from England Player of the Year because we don't need to know anything about either of those. And one of the club legends is apparently saying fantastic choice. Oh no, it's the Saint Etienne manager. I wasn't surprised because Daniel's a fantastic choice. Ah, what a man. I like you. I mean, you're not a very good manager, but you talk very well of me. I'm a happy man. Let's go and have a look then at the staff and squad we're going to be working with and put this to bed. No, we're 11th a minute on alphabetical order, so I think that's just a little glitch on the screen. Yeah, they definitely finished 4th last year, and they definitely got a Champions League place. Only missed out on 3rd by goal difference. Interesting to note here as well, some real surprises. Lyon mid-table, Lorient relegated. Blimey, I did not expect to see that. Are there any big guns not in a top tier? Just have a look down at the 2nd division. You still got the likes of Auxerre in there. Lorient, obviously, this year. Montpellier, a 2nd tier. Well, okay. This is interesting, this French football table. Let's say that, to say the least. Let's go and have a look at the staff we're going to be working with. I know you all want to meet the players, but there's still a good staffing team here, despite a few clearly leaving with the previous manager. If we go and have a look at who we're working with, we've seen the director of football. We've seen the assistant manager. What about the chief scout, who is also a director? That can't be the David Frio, can it? The old Plymouth player. Surely not. Oh, it is. What a legend. I used to love this guy in FM. By the way, he's a bloody excellent scout as well. Very happy with him. What a name to pull out the hat there. Is he here in real life? Oh, God, he is. What a legend, David Frio. The old FM nostalgia here. Oh, it goes with yesterday's video very well, doesn't it? Marco Otero is technical director. Yeah, good at judging staff ability, good negotiator. He'll be filling those blanks for the staffing team, so happy with that. Under 19 manager is solid, decent working with youngsters, not the best tactically. The second team manager is very decent, very happy with that. With senior assistant manager, senior goalkeeping coaches, Roja is okay, another Spaniard. We've got two more senior ones here. A Frenchman in Salvat who's good, and another Spaniard who is excellent actually, John Pascua. Set piece coach in place, Fritsch is decent and pretty young as well, plenty of room for improvement. Two fitness coaches, good technically, one Spanish, one French again. Another senior coach in Claude Fichot. He's pretty good as well. Yep, happy with him. This is very promising on paper. Head performance and recruitment analyst is good. Head physio, perfect. Can't ask for more than that. What about the scouting team? We've seen a chief scout. We've got a Brazilian scout in there who's average. There's a few here that aren't great, I've got to be honest with you. But no one that's going to be horrifying and bringing us absolute duds, I would hope. So, he's a good one. Abido, and he's only, 39? Plenty of room to improve. One Spaniard who's very good again. Maxim Maton. Oh, we're into the physios now, but again, he's very good at that. Loan manager, David Caron is the last one, and he's solid as well. That's probably about the best staffing team we've walked into in this save. And it's got a bit of an elite feel to it, the amount and the quality of the people involved. If we get onto the players though, which is the bit you're all going to be worried about, the dynamics are solid. I mean, we matched the managerial support in terms of reputation. We've got a 4-star one as well. And if the situation's good, Iliman Undai's still here, the former Sheffield United man. He moved there in real life last summer. If they've still got a bit of money in the club, we can try and get, I was going to say a coaching badge, but no, we're slightly over the wage budget. The overall balance is in the negative. I think that one will have to wait a year. We'll see how we do in the Champions League. Let's have a quick look at the development centre for any first team candidates. There's a few 2-star players with potential. There's also a 25-year-old there, weirdly, Gael Lafont, who, again, is solid enough. If we need someone desperately for a game, these guys are all going to be okay, but I'm not sure many of them are going to be superstars. And actually, most of them are transfer listed with 1 year left on the deal, which tells you what you need to know. This guy, though, Kylian Cassou, he looks like he might be a bit of a gem among the pack. Let's have a look at the rest of the second team. Anyone with massive potential? No. There is another decent midfielder there, but nothing stand out. If we go to the under-19s, we've got a couple with massive potential. We saw Frank Matip, the 15-year-old already. But what about Jonathan Borja? Centre midfielder, Colombian 18-year-old. Interesting player. Not much physicality, but good on the ball. Great vision, great technique. Not maybe got the balance of attributes you'd expect, but he's got a good character and he'll probably improve. So we'll keep an eye on him, see if he reaches his potential. But no one that's immediately going to help the senior team, I don't think, unless it's very poor. So let's get through and do the bit you're all waiting for. See who we've got here to play for us, because there are some talented youngsters. There are some old heads in the team. Let's get to the general info. Let's get them in position order. We've got plenty of ability. We've got plenty of potential. There are a few duds in here that we're probably going to need to demote, I think. So let's look at Jonathan Lasser. Yeah, so there's a few of these who are just going to drop into the B team, to be honest, because I don't want to waste my time introducing people who are never going to play for us. Those two probably aren't better than the ones we've looked at. And nor really is Carlos Augusto, although he's 32. He's on massive money. There's a candidate to get on a transfer list. Hopefully the backroom staff will suggest it. In a lovely turn of events, we've got 2 Japanese players in the squad. We'll see if we've come up against them in our career so far. But the 3 goalkeepers are as follows. The youngest is the best, Yannis Dumont, 22-year-old Belgian international goalkeeper. He is good without being spectacular. Probably not that far off Karnazeki, just maybe not quite as good in terms of the composure, but very good keeper and he'll still improve. So delighted to have him. Patrick Gunnarsson is a name I know well. Where did he used to play? Brentford youngster, and I'm pretty sure I had him at Hibs in a head coach many years ago. He's a really solid number 2. Definitely no complaints about him. Happy to be a backup. And then Zion Suzuki, a 2.5-star Japanese goalkeeper. Again, a really solid backup. Not quite got the agility or the positioning, but he's got great jumping reach. He's got good attributes, and he was in Japan when we were there, so we've inevitably played against him in the past. Into defence we go. We know the star player is one of the centre halves, but let's start with the right backs. We've got another Japanese player, Yuichi Suzuki, 3-star ability, right back and centre half. He's actually a central defender, but he can't jump. He's 5'9". Right, he's a left footer as well. This is very bizarre. He either has to play in the middle of a back three, or he has to play at right back or left back. So I'm not sure that we've got the best player there for the role. Maybe as an inverted fullback, he's okay, but he's not the best on the ball. What a weird balance of attributes and player. Why was he not trained as a left back? It doesn't make sense. Probably what we're going to do, to be honest, but not the ideal start for one of the best rated defenders. Sasha Bowie is a 30-year-old, other end of the experience scale, highest paid player at the club, wanted by Saudi clubs for massive money. I mean, I'd like to keep him because you know how I like to play. He's a proper traditional fullback. He's got a good cross on him, excellent physically and technically, and he's got good positioning too. He's a great right back. I'd love to keep him here. The next one is Leonardo Balerdi, who is a 32-year-old Argentine, maybe declining a bit physically, but otherwise very good. Only got 1 year left on his deal. Got great positioning, great anticipation. Another that's probably great in the middle of a back three. And I'm already wondering if that's a tactic we're going to have to go for, but maybe with 3 central players next time. We'll see as we progress, but he's not the worst for now. Let's put it that way. The next one is the best player at the club, Leopold Querfeld, a 27-year-old Austrian. We've mentioned him already. He's very much the opposite of the centre half we've just looked at. Not the best technically, but exceptional positioning, determined. Physically, he's a monster. I mean, he's a great centre half. There's no doubt in that. Jordan Teze is a 31-year-old Dutchman, 2.5-star ability. Very versatile, very good quality. Can play right back, can play wing back, and can play centre half as well. Yeah, just a really solid squad player. Happy with him. Mats Weifer is a 31-year-old Dutchman. Is he more of a midfielder? Yes, he is. Holding mid and centre mid. Not sure about the tag of elite, but he's 6'2". He's composed. He's good all round. I mean, he is a proper good playmaker, isn't he? And he'd probably be decent going box to box as well. Maybe not quite got the legs for it in his older age, but yeah, really good footballer. Like him a lot. Next one is Carlos Augusto, who we've looked at before. He is very much past his prime. I would imagine he's going to pop up as a player to be transfer listed, but he's not going to get sold at this point, is he? So we'll probably have to just put up with him this year, but then hopefully he'll go on a free. He's played a lot of games at big clubs in his career, but he's always been a backup. And physically, he's well over the hill. But he's versatile. I'll give him that. The other left back had better be good now. He's earning a third of the amount, but David Bartasaghi is a 25-year-old Italian. Oh, he's properly good. A bit more attacking minded than the other ones we've looked at. Got pace. He's got great height at the back post as well. Good positioning, but defensively, he's not the best in the world. Very happy for him to be a starter, though. No doubt about that. Let's move into the rest of the midfielders. And we start with probably the best rated central one. Another David, this time Fratesi, is a 31-year-old Italian midfielder. He's a very good all-rounder. Again, probably someone who's slightly better on the ball rather than a box-to-box, but he has got those attacking attributes. And it does give us options with people who want to get forward whenever possible. And again, they've got a lot of physicality. They're all sort of 6 foot plus. Much taller and much better in the air than our defenders, which is a bit of a worry. Weston McKennie is a player you'll probably all know, a 32, USA international, former Juve player, played for United in this save. He is okay. Again, maybe slightly over the hill, but his natural fitness is covering him. He's determined, he works hard, he's good in the air. He's a good squad player, and he can actually play right wing back pretty well, which is something we may well need at the moment as a backup. Into the rest of the midfielders, we've got 4 pretty average rated players now. The first is a Uruguayan, Fabrizio Diaz, the first of 2 in the squad actually. He is another one who probably a bit better on the ball, very good natural fitness. Maybe not quite got the height and the physical attributes, but mentally is very good. And again, will be a good squad player, which is exactly what he's defined as. Yunus Musa, I recognise this name. I had him in a San Marino challenge years ago. He's a really good player. Played all over the place in this save, but he's been here a couple of years. He's 28. He's on the transfer list, which I find a bit odd because There are better candidates to go than him, but maybe he's one who's a bit younger they can get money for. He's versatile, he's good enough. I mean, I'd have him as a squad player, but if he gets moved on, I guess I wouldn't be brokenhearted. That's probably the best way of summing him up. We've got Wilson Manuel, who is a 23-year-old Portuguese, centre mid and number 10. Not the most stamina, again 6'1", and good physical attributes, but maybe not got the technique and the passing range to match it. Not the best on the ball. For someone who tries killer passes and shoots from distance, he's maybe not got the attributes I'd like to see there. He tries long-range free kicks despite not being able to take them very well. He's okay, but again, he's loan listed. He's probably going to be moving out. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Suleiman Landim is a Guinea-Bissau international at 22. Yeah, he's not quite there, is he? He's loan listed as well, I think. Wouldn't be devastated to see him move on. He looks like he needs a year of football elsewhere before he gets involved regularly. As we move down, we've got a man who's starring in a championship in real life. It's Abdul Fatawu, a right winger who you probably know from Leicester at the minute, has spent a long time at Sporting in this save, and is a good winger. Maybe not a great one. Can also play up front and number 10. The left footer, so he'd be inverted, or we could play him off the other side. Again, they're all sort of squad player level. There's not really many standouts, but there's a lot of good players who would rotate. He is someone that will feature for sure, but again, not a standout that I was hoping for. Those are coming a bit further down. We've got Johan Bakayoko, 28-year-old Belgian winger, 3-star ability. He's a regular starter. He's a bit more like it. He's naturally left-footed. He can play off both sides. Knows where the goal is. He's been here 8 years, though, and only played 100 games. Had 2 spells out on loan. It's an interesting one, but he's got all the physical attributes, all the technical ones. And he's got a bit of flair as well. I mean, he's going to be a star for us. Let's not doubt that. The next one is the second Icelandic player in the squad, Mikael Egil Ellertsson. He is a 29-year-old centre mid, can cover left wing as well. Good player, professional player, another 6-footer in the centre of that midfield. I've got to be honest while I'm looking at this squad. I have no idea what tactic to play. It's all over the place. I feel like I've got to play 3 in midfield because of the sheer number of good centre midfielders. I've got to play with wingers because of the players we've seen. I feel like the centre halves I've got are suited to 3 at the back, but I'm probably going to have to play 2. And maybe go for like a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-3, whatever it is. But he's a good player. He'll be involved in the squad. But again, probably not a superstar. And then we've got a few attacking midfielders here who might upset the apple cart. We start with 3.5-star rated Facundo Torres, the second Uruguayan in the squad. He can play left wing naturally off the right or number 10. Very good player. Looks good cutting in. He's good technically. I could see him maybe starting the opposite side to Bakayoko with Fatawu as the sub. That's probably where I'm leaning at the moment. He's got good natural fitness. He's quick enough. And at 31, he won't be able to play every game, which will allow Fatawu a bit of football. Yeah, he's pretty good. But the other one that could upset that is Brian Zaragoza, who is the 3rd highest paid player at the club, I think, after Bowie the right back and the centre forward we're yet to meet. He is 30, he's Spanish, he's very good. Is he great? I don't know. He's a right footer, so maybe gives us natural balance on that side, but is better on the left, according to the assistant. Very short, very diminutive. I would argue all 3 of them are fairly similar. This guy probably edges it technically, but I'm not sure he does physically or mentally. That's going to leave me with some decisions to make. Or do I have to play with a number 10 rather than a holding midfielder? Because I look back at Fratesi, I look back at Vifer, who are probably the best 2 midfielders. Yeah, maybe I can play a 4-2-3-1. Maybe that's the way forwards. Iliman Ndiaye is rated as either the second best striker or as a good covering attacking midfielder. He is natural in both of those roles. We know what he can do in English football. And he's been here at Marseille for 9 years. He scored 80 in 215, which is not a bad record. And he's also very decent still. Physically, technically, and mentally, he's excellent. His off-the-ball movement is supreme. He's composed. He's got flair. He's going to be a good player and a great player off the bench, I think, for most of this year. But that depends on how good Vitinha is, because he's one of the big earners. He is experienced at 31, but is he as good as his star rating suggests? Please don't be a bad finisher. Oh, he's not. He's a super striker. Yes, he looks like the type that maybe relies on his physicality a bit, which is dwindling. He's actually suggested to be a pressing forward, which could really work for him. I'm looking at his mental attributes and I'm just thinking Dirk Kuyt of 10 years ago, to be honest. But he's scoring goals for this club, 117 in 228. I've not really used the pressing forward this year, occasionally in the front too, but he might have to play up front on his own that way. He's 6 foot. He's got all the attributes. I mean, we'll see how we get on with him. I don't like that he's aggressive and dives into tackles. He strikes me as the type that might pick up the odd red card. Let's have a quick look back. 2 red cards in the league last season. None the year before. 2 the year before. Okay, so yeah, he's picked up 6 in 5 years there. Another one there. Another one there. He's had a fair few of them. There's no doubt in that. But let's go back and see the final man. Daniel Brandao is one of the hottest youngsters at the club. The youngest player in the first team squad at 20. And he's Portuguese as well. 2.5 ability. 4.5 potential. He's a good finisher. He's a wonder kid. He's determined. He's composed. That boy by the end of this season, I think, will be first choice. I'm going to stick my neck on the line with that. I mean, it almost makes me want to play a front two. He's 6'4" as well. He's great in the air. Any of you who watch my stream series, I'm thinking Max Merstedt there. He's a super player. And off the bench, again, will be a massive threat. I'm happy with this squad. There's a lot of talent there. But I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to harness it yet and what the best formation's going to be. Let me know what you would do in the comments. I think I'm probably going to have to go back 4 because there's not enough good defenders to play a 5. And if we're being honest, there's probably only 3 centre-halves of quality in the squad, with maybe Teze covering as a 4th. So I think we're going to have to limit it to a back 4. We'd probably then have to go 4-2-3-1 based on the players we've got. But it does leave us a little short in certain areas and with a lot of backups in centre midfield. I'm intrigued by this Marseille squad. Of course, we've got to factor in what our director of football does before the season. We've got 5 weeks till our first game at home to Clermont. In the meantime, we are going to set up all the staff responsibilities and make sure that our director of football and technical director are doing everything behind the scenes. We know that spend, there's probably going to have to be departures. We can see that some of the big guns are wanted by Saudi clubs and by big Italian clubs. Let's just hope we don't lose our best player at centre-half, because by the looks of the rest of the defence, we're going to need him physically. But otherwise, I'm fairly excited. I can't wait to get going in a different nation. I hope you're looking forward to it too. If you are, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know how you think we're going to get on, because at the moment, as we head into pre-season, well, where do the media expect us to be? They've got us as battling for 5th and 6th with Rennes, just behind the likes of Nice and Lille, with the top 2, PSG heavy favourites, and then Monaco not far behind. So let me know how you think we get on in the comments. If you want to stick around and find out, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back in a couple of days' time for our first game in charge, and hopefully some transfer news on the staffing and the player front. In the meantime, though, we're back with Southend United tomorrow. We talked a bit of nostalgia with David Frio. We've got our FM09 nostalgia series from yesterday up in the eye above. Catch up with that playlist if you've missed any of it. You can also find more from me over on the Twitch channel and the football podcast with the links up there too. And at the top of the description, a link to HelloFresh UK, who continue to kindly support the channel. Get 60% off and free delivery on your first box, as well as 2 months of discounts after that. Link down at the top of the description to help support the channel while doing that. But thank you very much for watching. Your support, as always, is appreciated. And I'll see you back in a couple of days' time for our first game in French football.